we have changes coming, and that's what we're here to discuss. We've got so many that I actually have a notebook. Make sure I don't miss anything. So I will be looking down at some points and not right at you. There is at least a 50-50 shot we're going to hear one of my children screeching in the background. We're just going to have to deal with it at the moment as my wife is dealing with all of them. But we're going to be going over the why, the what, the when these changes are coming. That's to the website, to the app, various things. Almost no part of what we do is going to be unaffected, although it's not all going to be negative at the same time. And so let's start with the why. Why are we doing this? There are several reasons. Some of them are being forced on us. We don't really have much of a choice. But apart from that, I had mentioned before that I was going to be taking a day off here and there. Since that time, I have taken 3 or 4 days off so far in 2022. My family is not growing in number. We have our 3 children, but the 3 children are growing. Any of you who have been in a marriage for a decade or longer know that that is a relationship that always continues to grow. There are lots of needs that my children have, that my wife and I have, that we have largely put on the back burner to do all of this. It's not that we have been completely torturing ourselves, but we also haven't always been as kind to ourselves as we could have been. Summertime is here, and we just a couple days ago lost our childcare for the entire summer. So a lot of that is going to fall on Kat and I, and that's a time squeeze. And when summer's not in session, Kira's at the point she's got homework. My son is going to kindergarten. Adam is in the terrible 2s, and you can tell he's going to ease right into being a 3-nager. Basically, we've got a lot of family responsibilities. We have all of the prepping going on for everything we're talking about, not the least of which being Observer Ranch, which we want to make sure does not get derailed. It's been delayed enough with COVID and a number of other things that, excuses that the county and state have been making. But we're making progress there, and we want to make sure that continues. For a moment, let's talk about what's not going away. And I was actually surprised to see so many comments about this. I mentioned that the website and the app were going to be casualties. At least 200-300 comments came in like, does that mean the YouTube channel's going away? Are you not going to be on YouTube anymore? No, the YouTube channel is going to stay here. In fact, the YouTube channel is one of the things that should be positively affected by all of these changes. Observer Ranch is obviously still happening. We are still building this behemoth. We hope to be open and start receiving many of you next year. Just come, hang out, bring your RV, rent one of the RVs we have. It's going to finally be a home for the observers to actually meet and talk science, meet other observers, generate your own networks, things like that. A lot of the other websites aren't going away or changing at all. Spaceweathernews.com, I think that's an incredibly important resource. Spaceweathernews.com is not going anywhere. I use spaceweathernews.com throughout the day to check on various things. I look at it every single morning in preparation for doing the news. And so that resource will not be going anywhere. Some of the other sites are probably going to remain as well. In at least some capacity, quakewatch.net, although not probably in its glory days from a couple years ago, back when we were in Sunspot Minimum, back before the Chan Thomas story and the rebirth of catastrophism, when we were at least 50% focused on earthquakes. It's obviously not the case anymore. Other things like magneticreversal.org and some of the other sites probably will either go away or have significant changes or will be integrated into something else. But let's right now jump on to what actually is going to be going away or changing significantly. I hate the app. I know a lot of you love it. I hate the app. No, the app does not make money. 2, our developer for the app it's almost unfair to say he's unresponsive or not capable of handling it, because this is not what he does on a daily basis, and this is not what he wants to be doing on a daily basis. He had a taste of this. He did okay, and we're sort of at a point where not only do things constantly need updated, but the app environment has changed such that you don't just build an Android version and an Apple version. Every different version of the Samsung Galaxy has its own needs, and that's just one kind of device on Android. It's literally like if you have one app and it requires specific features, it's not just some game that you download and play. You actually have 100 apps that you have to be monitoring and updating and everything like that. It's too much. It's absolutely crazy, and our app is that kind of app that requires those things. It's not one of those apps that wouldn't require such a thing. Not to mention the fact that the app was not even something I wanted to do in the first place. And I've been wanting to complain about this for a while. So it's not your turn to complain right now. It's my turn to complain finally. I told Dr. Kong Papu Yen from NASA, if any of you remember him, I didn't want to do this app. I didn't want to do an app. He finally convinced me. After 5 months of every time there was something needing done, him saying, you do it, you handle it, you do this, you do this. He quit NASA and went back to Thailand. Quit the app, quit everything, and just sort of dumped all of this on us. And that was after he joined in our Kickstarter, asking a lot of you to support us financially in building this app. He just up and quit on it. Since that time, I know many of you have benefited greatly from the app, but it has not been anything other than an unfathomable pain for us. Now, we are hopeful it's not going to disappear entirely. We are currently looking into options to either replace the app or have the app taken over by someone else. But either way, it probably won't look as it does right now, and I'm not going to be the one responsible for it. And also, I will not be doing those observer alerts, like when we would get a cosmic ray health alert, or there was a stealth CME that didn't register on any solar flare charts. That's stuff that I did. I won't be a part of that anymore. But of course, there are other apps that can tell you about geomagnetic storms, solar flares, certainly earthquakes. And just to be honest, the app is something that it could have been wonderful, but with Kong Pop basically quitting on us 5 months into the project, with our developer deciding he doesn't want to do this anymore, and him being very busy as well, with the app environment changing as it has for apps like ours that are more complex and have so many moving pieces, not just a download that you've downloaded it, that's all there is. You're interacting with several servers, several different feeds, a lot of things. It's just been a pain. But as I said, we're trying to find a way to have it not go away entirely. It just won't be ours anymore. Up next is Suspicious0bservers.org, the premium website. This is the thing that takes up more of my time than almost anything else other than YouTube itself. And it's not that I don't enjoy it, but a commitment every Saturday morning, a commitment of 100 extra episodes every year does sort of cut into not just overall time, but the every Saturday morning podcast is that challenges our Friday night. It challenges our Saturday. And that's not insignificant as, again, our children are growing older. Heck, sometimes I want to take my kids to their martial arts practice. I want to watch them on Saturday morning. I want to be able to do that. In terms of the content, the thousands of hours, hundreds of videos, podcasts, things that are on there, we do not exactly know where those are going. If they're going to stay there, we don't know if we're going to leave them up for a certain amount of time and then make everything public. We don't know if we're going to put them on another server for a rainy day that may or may not come. I don't know if I'm going to take all the deeper looks that I think are really relevant and then just dump them onto YouTube. I just don't know. In terms of the when, and I wanted to make sure I hit the app and the website before I talked about the when, neither one of those are going away tomorrow. Neither are they going away next week or probably in July. It's going to be a pretty significant process. For those who are website members and are worried about the money you've paid, some of you may have noticed that we haven't been taking any annual subscriptions for quite some time. And 30 days before we plan to end the website and end the new content, I will shut off the monthly subscriptions as well. So we have been trying to make it so that nobody is actually paying for something that's not going to be there, or paying more than what they've bargained for in terms of the content that they're willing to receive. If you have questions about that, please use the email that you used to sign up for the website to send us an email. We will go into your account. We will find the stuff. If there is a major issue, it is what it is. Apps are actually much easier. When an app closes down, it's just like you deleted the app from your phone. It does not recur ever again in terms of a payment. Again, any questions on that, please feel free to email our support, and I'm going to put that email down below the video there in the description box. But so that's basically where we are with what's staying. YouTube, we are still building Observer Ranch. SpaceWeatherNews.com is a phenomenal resource, and that's not going anywhere. The app and the website are going to see significant changes. Again, not tomorrow. And if you have a personal financial concern, email is below. We are not going to be shy at all, or I'll just say it, we're not going to be stingy at all. We get it. We get it, you know? The store, otf.sells.com. This is a disappointment. It really is. It has never been a value proposition for us to sell through Amazon and let them take such a huge chunk of what we do. That has never been a value proposition at all. What Sells did was they allowed us to sell both physical and digital merchandise, whether that's the PDFs of the book, tickets to our conferences, or a hat, a shirt, a physical copy of a book. It allowed us to do all of that in one place. We did all of the packaging, shipping ourselves, shipping it out to you. They gave us an incredible data system to allow us to not only get all of that shipping information electronically and organize it, but doing so for tax purposes as well, which, yeah, we still have to, worry about that in this world. Of course, Amazon bought Sells, and they are shutting it down because they were a phenomenal competitor. It was blatantly obvious that they were a legitimate competitor for people who wanted to sell their own stuff and who had their own followings, and it wasn't worth it to use Amazon. And okay, yes, you might reach a few more people, but what if you're niche like me? Who out on Amazon is going to see the book Weatherman's Guide to the Sun, textbook? Oh, I think I'll buy that. No. Anybody who's going to get that, you're watching YouTube. You're engaging with this stuff. It doesn't make sense to go to Amazon. We have found a lot of potential replacements, but you can either do physical but not digital. You can do digital, including online courses, but you can't do physical. We are not looking for suggestions. We have narrowed it down to a couple. We're going to be looking into it, but the truth is the store is going to be closing down on June 15th, and there will be some downtime where we don't have a good way to do this stuff. And so that one is more definitive, and that will be the first thing that shuts down. That's shutting down in 2 weeks. The website, the app, those are going to persist. I said those would be casualties of 2022, and I'm hoping to push those as far close to December as I possibly can. What are the positive changes that are going to happen? More here on YouTube. It's not like I'm just going to cut 100 extra episodes and 50 podcasts a year out and then literally just sit there and watch TV all day. I'm going to dedicate a lot of this time to playing with my kids, but I like making extra videos and putting them on YouTube. I feel like it helps the collective. The morning news is not a place to dive deep and describe things. That's why the links are there. I give you enough to get the basic idea, and then if you want to know more, you're supposed to go do your homework. Maybe I'll be doing a little more of your homework for you on YouTube because I will have the time. This will also allow us to dedicate more time to make sure Observer Ranch is everything it deserves to be. It really does deserve everything, all of the effort that went into our annual conferences. For those who have come to the conferences, I don't need to explain to you how amazing of a place those were, when observers can get together and they don't have to worry about sounding crazy to someone. You can't just go talk to some random person you meet on the street about half the stuff you see on this channel. A lot of you can't talk to your spouse, your children, your friends about this stuff. What happens when you're surrounded by hundreds of people who are all on your same wavelength? It was like a family reunion every time we had a conference, and that's going to be every single day at Observer Ranch. It's kind of obvious why that's what I want to focus on, that and YouTube here. And it should be obvious why I want to focus on my family as well, why I want to focus on prepping. I'm not just doing this for fun. I'm paying attention to the papers I report. There's big things coming. It's not something you can just think about it. Oh, I'm going to do this. Oh, maybe I should get this. I'm getting out and doing it. We've got to get out and do it. Everybody's got to get out and do it. I hope you are too. Bottom line, I can quickly summarize a lot of this. When it comes to things like the store, Amazon, I can't do anything about that. I can't do anything about Kong Pop screwing off to Thailand. I can't do anything about the fact that our app developer, this is not what brings him happiness, and this is not how he wants to spend his life. That's legit. The parts that are controllable, I want to be able to spend some Saturday mornings with my kids. I want to be able to, when our A+ babysitter is available, and she really is, I want to be able to go out with Catherine on a Friday night and actually go out as husband and wife and have a great time, and not worry about getting home in time to make sure that I'm up to do the news and then I have enough fuel in the tank to do fly on the wall. I want to continue to, once a month or so, take one of the weekend days off. I can understand, and I've read the comments about how some of you are really disappointed with a lot of this. Again, we are going to try not to let the app completely fall off. Then again, if there is another app out there, and I'm going to start looking into those as well, that happens to be pretty A+ fantastic in terms of its alerts for solar flares, geomagnetic storms, solar wind enhancements, things like that. Maybe I'll just tell you guys all, hey, this is a good one. This can help you. When it comes to the website, that one really, there's not going to be a replacement for that, except for what we do on YouTube here. And I do plan to use that time to put a lot more on YouTube. I realize a lot of you guys don't like doing homework. Guess what? I love homework. Let me do more of it for you. Try not to complain too much about it. Yes, this stinks. I could use some other words if I wanted to, but it just stinks. Part of it I can't do anything about. Part of it are things that I know probably should be done, and I just haven't taken the time to do it. But it's almost as though all of these things coalescing right now. And the website, I mean, we've had to change our membership plugin several times when those companies just stopped supporting a plugin or closed their doors as a business. There have been so many things that are coming together right now, not just in terms of the frustrations with the app, the frustrations with the website, the frustrations with Amazon buying sells, but obviously with the entire world. And yeah, the world is going crazy right now, and it's not going to get any better anytime soon. It's almost as though the universe is poking me, saying, hey, all those things you knew you had to do for months, years, some of them, do it now or be sorry. And I think that that's actually some advice all of us can take right now. Try to find a way to spend more time with the people who are important to you. Try to find a way to spend more time actually doing. Yes, it is important you get the knowledge, whether you're reading or you're watching videos. But then you got to do something about it. You can't just sit there. I hope you all understand. And if you don't, I'm sorry and I wish you the best. The hinges on the door are still very greased and it swings closed quick, by the way. The essence of what we do isn't changing. Our presence and our aim to inform and alert when necessary isn't changing. But we are very much adapting. Just like we had to adapt when the Chan Thomas story came out, right as Sunspot Minimum was in its deepest portion and we knew Sunspot Maximum was coming back, which we're almost at right now. You guys remember how much we used to focus on earthquakes? How much we used to focus on cosmology? How often do we focus on cosmology and earthquakes these days? And there's a good reason for that. The sun is active again. Catastrophism has been reborn as a thing. Planets are going into ice ages. They've discovered micronova are real. Thanks for that, by the way. What I am hearing from, and I do love this name, by the way, from all of the professors, NASA scientists, ESA, USGS, when, by the way, we recently hit 200 of them on our roll, and one of them came up with a name for all of them who truly cannot be at risk putting their names out there. He said they should call themselves Suspicious Observers Black Ops. I thought it was funny. I think it's a cute name. I doubt I could hack boot camp, but still, cool name. The point is, they are telling me that there is going to be no shortage of what we've been seeing in the journals. If it feels like, hey Ben, are you reporting basically every day something that's related to this when you could maybe report it once a month or once or twice a year before? Yep. It's not going to stop. And with Pluto and Neptune falling so close together, something tells me the rest of the planets aren't far behind. The changes on Earth are accelerating faster than I predicted 3 years ago, faster than I predicted 5 years ago, faster than I predicted 7 years ago. Everything is happening faster than I predicted. Am I willing to immediately jump off of my 2030s to 2040s timeline? No, I still like that timeline. But there are a lot of things that are happening faster, and as I've always mentioned, just because the crescendo of the catastrophe might be 15 years away doesn't mean Earth's weakening magnetic field might not allow a solar flare to take out the global grids a decade early, if I could talk here. And so there are things that are making me say maybe the timeline isn't quite as long. Maybe I do need to jump on this quicker. Maybe I do need to be spending more time outside with my children, at the ranch with my children, showing them how to do things, learning how to do things myself. Because I'm a science nerd. I might be jacked, but I'm a science nerd. Come on, that was a little funny. Anyway, actually brings up another point. Do any of you guys actually remember, and I don't want to hear a word about ego here for a second. Do any of you guys remember the pudgy, soft dude from the conferences? How have you been spending your time of late? In addition to this, I've gotten really good at martial arts the last 3 years. No, if you've got a black belt, second, third degree, I'm not claiming anything. But when you spend 3 years passionately trying to get better at something, you're going to get a little better at it. Every way you can possibly imagine preparing, we have been preparing, except with the clock. And that's something that it's a failure on my part, and it's something that needs to be rectified. Speaking of the clock, I think I've been talking long enough. What do you think? Anyway, that's pretty much the total thing. I don't think I missed anything here. But yeah, YouTube's not going away. The ranch is coming next year. SpaceWeatherNews.com is the favorite resource I've ever built that just stands alone and just works all on its own. That's not going anywhere. But This is how it is. This is what's happening. And all of us need to be relatively adaptable. I do know this. If these kinds of changes are going to throw you into a tizzy, wait until the universe gets its crack at you. Wait until the sun and the earth, the sword and the hand of this disaster, get their crack at you. Now is the time to harden in every way possible. Tighten up, cut the fat, do whatever you need to do to make sure you are laser-like focused and on point. Even if you don't believe a single word about Earth's magnetic excursion, which would make you crazy, by the way. Even if you don't believe a single word about the solar micronova, which wouldn't make you crazy, would probably make you just slightly uninformed. Look at what's happening to the world right now. You think it's I'm just going to say this. I checked. In previous years, I can't even tell you how far back I had to go to find more than 1 or 2 food processing facilities having a fire or some kind of shutdown or problem like that in a season. We've had 17 when you consider that egg production or whatever factory that went up in flames this past week. It's not accidental. This is a squeeze. All the Bond villains just met up in Davos. Soros, Klaus Schwab, deciding our future. It's not going to be a pretty one. They want us to own nothing and be happy. Why don't you try owning nothing and be happy? Even if you don't believe a single word of our science, if your eyes aren't seriously open to something terrible about to happen, I don't know what to tell you. And if you've been paying any attention here, you realize I'm not just pulling this stuff out of my backside. It's based on peer-reviewed science. It's based on actual observations. And then the hypotheses, the predictions keep coming true over and over again. It's the time to adapt before it's too late to adapt. Anyway, see you in the morning for the daily show. Be safe, everyone.